Welcome to Transform Your Health World Summit 2014, hosted by Marcie Peters, America's whole life coach. This is your opportunity to transform your health and life. And now, here's your host, Marcie.
Dr. Isaac Jones, and I have the honor to introduce to you the host of this amazing summit, Marcie Peters. Marcie Peters is America's whole life coach. She's a holistic health coach and speaker, and she's appeared on a lot of different television shows, the Wellness Hour, and a lot of other summits online. I'm sure you've seen her face, off and on online. She's also graduated from the University of Washington and is certified through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and Metabolic Balance, which is relevant for pretty much every human being on earth to benefit from. Marcie is committed to empowering others to really live courageously with vibrant health and happiness. And Marcie, I'm so excited that you're putting together all of these amazing presenters and that you've done such an incredible job getting such a vital message for today's day and age out to the globe. So thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for interviewing me today.
Of course, of course. And, Marcie, I just am blown away with your own story. I mean, it's so profound for people to get to know you a little bit more and how you've transformed your own health. And people are probably wondering what gives you the authority to put on an event like this. And after they hear your story, they're going to be like, oh, wow, that's pretty outstanding. So I'd love for you to just tell the individuals listening right now, like, how did you get so passionate about transforming people's lives?
Yeah, sure. So, Dr. Jones, first of all, thank you again for interviewing me. I'm excited to do this interview and tell everyone what I'm all about and what I stand for. So here's my story. I was sick for a super long time, and about 7 years ago, after I'd been sick for over a decade, and I was, really just at that point where I couldn't take it anymore. It was, my life had become this little tiny small life that I lived mostly from being in bed all the time,
right.
And really not being able to do much. And I just felt like a smaller version of myself. I didn't feel like I was in any way in touch with my real self. And I actually, I was sitting in bed one day, it was a spring morning, and I had to make a decision. I had to decide, am I going to go on like this? Can I go on like this? Or, is this the end? Or will I take a different path? Will I choose something else? And in that moment, Dr. Jones, I really had to get honest with myself and get real and say, look, this isn't working and something needs to change, something has to change. So that was my dark night of the soul, or dark morning of the soul. And what happened was I renewed my commitment to really make things better for myself and really go out and find answers and stop constantly looking for answers outside of me. And bottom line, I had to take personal responsibility, which is a big theme in my work, and really be committed to turning things around. So my chronic health issues lasted for over 16 years before I actually was able to turn them around. And the story has a good ending, and that is that today, I'm vibrantly healthy, I have energy, I really am passionate after going through all those years of struggles to help other people, and so that's why I do what I do. Wow.
And, I had the privilege of being able to hang out with you in California while I was out there on vacation, and just a little while ago. And, you have such a beautiful energy, just an amazing brightness and just health. You just, just exude health. And so, I know that you've come through a lot. And, I just want to know, for the people that are dealing with autoimmune conditions or dealing with challenges in their own health, perhaps it's being overweight, or they're not like confident or in themselves, or they don't have a good self-image. What would you say is some of the kind of major keys that you created to create the transformation that you did through that hard time, those 16 years?
Yeah. So the first thing I want to mention again is just taking personal responsibility. So our society is set up to where you go to the doctor, you more or less expect them to have answers for you and fix you.
Right.
And my way of looking at it is actually that you have to take your own personal responsibility. You have to be committed, and you have to be willing to do whatever it takes to have the life that you want. You know, this is an opportunity. I really do see health challenges as a chance to grow and learn and find a closer relationship with yourself. And so don't overlook this opportunity. Don't put it aside and consider it a burden when it is actually a chance. So when you take that responsibility, it actually shifts everything. And I really like to look at this continuum where you have victim on one side and personal responsibility on the other side. That means that you're the creator, you're the architect of your whole life, and you create everything. Whatever your experiences are, whatever your feelings are, and not from a place of shame or blame or guilt, but really from a place that is empowering. So that's the first thing I like to look at is where are you on the continuum, and be honest with yourself. You know, be really straightforward. I was a victim for a long time. I didn't even realize it, but I can totally see it looking back now. And if I had had that realization sooner that I was living from a place of poor me, this is happening to me, why is my body breaking down? It feels like I'm in a war, a constant war with my body and with my life. And that line of thinking does not empower you, and it will actually make the situation worse. There were physical health stuff going on with me. It wasn't all in my head, but having that victim mentality kept me stuck there. So you probably work with people in your own practice, Dr. Jones, where they're doing everything right, but if they don't have the mindset behind it, they won't get better and they won't heal. So a lot of the work that I do is mindset.
And I know we're going to be kind of delving into all the strategies from a wellness perspective, from a psychological perspective, to really transform your health on a major level in this call. But I just want to say personally, I think that is such a profound statement that this can be really a blessing in disguise. Like, I was inspired to become a doctor because of my, diagnosis with ADHD and dyslexia and being put in special needs as a kid. And although it was hard at the time and I didn't know what was going on with my body physiologically, it's now enabled me to help tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people around the world. So again, thank you for helping people understand that. And you are called America's Whole Life Coach. Why is it that you are called America's Whole Life Coach?
Yeah, so I was very honored to start being called that. So I've been a health coach for a while now, and as a health coach, I was helping people with nutrition, and they were starting to have these transformations, right? So nutrition can really be a starting point to changing everything and having that trickle-down effect in your life. But what ended up happening is their relationships were improving and their life purpose was starting to solidify as we did this work, and they were enjoying life more and more in touch with themselves and loving themselves more. So every aspect of their life started really transforming. And so to say health coach was just not enough, was just not appropriate anymore when it's really everything. And you have to look at a person as a holistic everything, every aspect, and not just segment that down. So so now I'm more like a life coach, although I do work with people on nutrition too. We work on every aspect: emotional, physical, spiritual, and physical, every aspect.
Well, I know what's amazing about what you've done is that you've developed really amazing relationships with the top health and wellness gurus, mindset experts, self-love experts in America. And, you've gleaned a lot of really outstanding knowledge. And I think wisdom is oftentimes when you compile a lot of knowledge together, which is what the summit is all about. And just kind of as a side tangent, just to get people excited about some of the people that are going to be presenting in the summit, what are some of the more exciting things that you're looking forward to, people learning through, the videos that will be presented and that they'll have access to during the summit.
I am so excited about all the interviews everyone is going to be watching and hearing. I really have a list of top experts, world-class experts and we're going to talk about everything from physical health and nutrition and exercise, really all the way into mindset and relationships, looking at anti-aging and brain health and gut health. So it's really exciting. I don't even know where I would start in talking about it because there's a lot to it. And the whole purpose of the summit really is to be a source of inspiration and hope. And whether you're dealing with a chronic illness or something that's been going on for a while, or you just want to step it up to the next level and be the best and most vibrant you can be, this summit will give you the tools and inspiration to do that. And it really is about transformation at its bottom line. It's a tool for transformation.
Wow, that's great. I'm excited to watch the interviews myself, and I'm really happy that I'm able to connect with you today to get the message out and get people excited about it. So, where would you say, true health really begins? Where, I know there's a lot of controversy around, what you need to start with and what is really the kind of foundation for true health. But from your perspective and from what you've seen and all of the relationships that you have with all these experts, what do you know as kind of the foundation for true health?
Well, thank you for asking. I've actually put together the 7 simple steps to wellness. And so it goes through the process of looking at the physical part of it and then the non-physical part of it. So what I like to look at first is actually, for a long time it was nutrition, but now I look at sleep first. Now I say, okay, if you're not getting enough sleep and you're not getting high quality sleep, it's going to be really hard for you to make good decisions. And that includes with your nutrition, with your exercise, mindset, and everything else. So the first place I like to start, and I weave the mindset throughout it because it's so important in so many ways. But looking at making sure that my clients are set up for a good night's sleep, that they're able to fall asleep and stay asleep, and they're really set up for success so that they're empowered the next day. And it really changes everything. I mean, I have people who have had chronic illness for 20 years, and getting the sleep on track and then going through the rest of these steps has really turned it around, where they've seen doctor after doctor and nothing else was working. So the first thing is sleep, for my 7 simple steps to wellness. And then the second thing is nutrition. You can't exercise off a poor diet, and you can't supplement off a poor diet either. There's no magic pill. And I know that it would be, it would be great if there was a shortcut, if there was just a pill we could take, and that's just not true. As we get older, especially if we're eating a poor quality diet, it will affect us in ways that we can't really recover from. It will affect our immune system in ways that it can't fight off pathogens and so forth. So the second thing is nutrition, and we can get into that in a little more depth. And then the third thing is going to be water intake. It's so simple. Again, these are the simple steps to wellness, but most people don't have them all dialed in, and so then they're jumping to something more advanced without getting the foundation. And so just drinking enough water, as simple as it is, drinking half your body weight in ounces every day, and starting the day off with at least 20 to 30 ounces of fresh, pure water, filtered so that there's no fluoride in it and so forth. That's so important.
And one of the things I like to do to kind of hyper-alkalize the body is throw some lemon or lime in there. If you want some anti-inflammatory properties, you could perhaps grate some ginger or turmeric root and squeeze that in your water. There's all these amazing ways to kind of make water more interesting and more enjoyable. But yeah, that's fantastic. So that's number 3. And what would number 4 be?
And then number 4 is going to be exercise. But the key with exercise is that it's not too much and it's not too little. And that you're not also, in between the times you're going to the gym or exercising, you're not just sitting around for hours at a time. You're actually getting up, moving around, maybe jumping on a little rebounder for 1 or 2 minutes just to get the lymph moving. And then finding exercise that is fun for you, that's actually going to add enjoyment to your life and not be drudgery, not be something that you have to do. Actually, here's a mindset piece. I always like to say, I never say I have to work out or I have to work. I get to work out. I get to work. I get to pay the bills. I get to, do all of these things in life, and that reframe alone is so important. So I get to go to the gym and work out pretty much every day. I schedule it into my calendar every day, and then if a couple of them drop off, I still got my 4, 5, 6 workouts in a week, and it's good. But I like to say, again, not too much and not too little. If you're exercising too much, it's going to stress the body in a way that keeps you in a stress response instead of allowing you to go into relaxation mode. And so maybe it's some yoga on one day, Pilates on another day, or resistance training on another day, a spin class. Mix it up, do a dance class, do something that's fun for you. Go outside and go hiking, take a bike ride, or get in the water if you can, if you're near water.
That's great.
Yeah, so number 4 is really just movement. Finding something that will be hot, sweaty, and a little painful.
That's true, right?
And finding your balance between challenging yourself and keeping your physical body challenged without taking it to the point where it's creating more stress.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And just on that, I know, I've been reading a little bit of research on exercise that just proves one of the points that you said to be so, true, in the fact that if people are over-exercising or overtraining or working out more than an hour, the benefits are actually worse than perhaps even not exercising if they're overdoing it. And then obviously when you're getting that kind of balance between a 30-minute workout or a 20-minute workout where it's not, too little of a workout, but it's a good amount of a workout, it benefits your body in such a huge way. So I love that, and just the whole concept of novelty exercises and switching it up, so healthy for your brain, prevents Alzheimer's, all these great benefits that I just think are fantastic. So perfect, love that. So we've got sleep, nutrition, H2O, exercise, and what's number 5?
Mindset. It all comes down to mindset. It all comes down to the thoughts that we're feeding our body, the thoughts that we are actually having either support us or tear us down. They're either constructive or destructive. And so just looking at that with compassion, without judgment or criticism, and noticing if you are your own best cheerleader or if you're actually more like a negative influence in your own life. So really being honest and really noticing where you can be more supportive, more compassionate, more loving towards yourself. And we'll talk a lot more about the specific mindsets that are very empowering. But I want you to be, again, your own best cheerleader. I think that's super important.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the whole concept of reframing to I get to work out and, patting yourself on the back and giving yourself, permission to celebrate your small wins and your big wins. What is it for people that are struggling with nutrition? Because that's probably one of the biggest ones. They have sugar cravings, or they've been eating a certain way for a certain period of time, and one person say go paleo, another person say go low carb, etc. There's all this confusion that I know your summit's going to bring a lot of clarity to, and will bring clarity to this topic. But what would you say is a good reframe around nutrition and all of the kind of confusion around that?
Yeah, thank you. This is my favorite topic and my favorite reframe ever. I use it a lot, and it makes a big difference in people's lives. So instead of looking at it from a place of scarcity, meaning I can't have that, or I can't indulge in those foods again, or it's going to be really hard, looking at it from a place of I get to do it, I get to take care of myself, I get to create a sustainable present and future for myself, and really this is a gift that I am giving myself now and in every day. It's a way of loving myself. It's a way of setting myself up for success. And so if you can look at it just, and especially when you're healing, if you have chronic illness And your body actually needs time to heal. Just like if you broke your leg, you wouldn't be out running around on it. You would, actually lay in bed, probably have it elevated, and just let it heal. So the body actually needs that too. If you're already sick or you're already having symptoms, then you want to establish a healing amount of time and just let it be. Let it, take care of yourself during that time. And it might be a few months or in some cases a few years, but know that this is a gift that will set you up for the life you want.
Wow, that's so fantastic, Marcie. I love that reframe. I think it's so powerful that, people can say I get to, as opposed to I can't, or what, these are the things that I'm being deprived of. Just looking at it as a gift, I think is such a powerful and profound strategy. So love that. And
here's,
I know there's two more.
Let me throw in another reframe. This is kind of cool too.
Yeah.
So for a long time, after I changed my eating habits, and we can talk more about the specifics of the anti-inflammatory diet that I am a proponent of, I would really walk around feeling like I can't be like everyone else. Everyone else is having fun. I would go to a party and there would be nothing I could have or would want to have, and so I really kind of felt like a big loser or a big outcast.
Alcohol,
everyone else, because I haven't been drinking for a few years, and everyone else would be indulging and having fun, and a lot of social events are geared around food. And then at a certain point it just clicked in, and I thought, I don't have to be an outcast. I can be a leader. My decisions will not only boost me up, but it will affect other people because they'll see that there's another path, that they don't have to do it just because it's there. Just because other people are drinking or having cake or cookies doesn't mean you have to. It actually gives another option and another way to, even if you don't say anything, and they're thinking, wow, she doesn't do those things, and she has energy and seems to be doing really well, is happy, and maybe, and it could be the start of their transformation too. So I really like to look at that powerful mindset, and especially with children. I work with mothers and their children are gluten intolerant, they have these food sensitivities, and they feel, at school, they feel weird and different than everyone else. And actually, when I give them that reframe, it changes everything for them, and it starts affecting their confidence and their self-esteem too.
Oh wow, that's such a powerful reframe, and I can see that, like, you can go to those events and parties and social get-togethers, and you don't need to feel. It's almost like it's a confidence booster, it's a self-esteem booster, as opposed to something that you're constantly feeling self-conscious about, So I think
can make the main event be the interactions and the connections that you have with other people and the things that you do with them. If there's activities that you're doing, and you can make that be the main event, not the food. The food really shouldn't be in the center spot anyway.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I love it. And obviously we're at 5, so we know that there's 2 other major steps to upgrading your health and wellness. So what would the 6th step be?
Okay, so the 6th simple step to wellness is life purpose. This is huge, and really connecting with your life purpose, your bigger why. Why are you here? What are your gifts and talents that only you have, that no one else could actually provide the world? And what is your bigger why? What makes you really want to be your best self, be there long term and be really capable and able. So really getting clear with yourself on these things. And there's certain processes if you're not sure of that. I wasn't sure of my life purpose for a long, long time until it dawned on me, like, duh, I've been sitting in this place of illness for so long and really had to pull myself up out of it and educate myself and really start changing things. And of course, being so passionate about that process and being able to help other people, having that life purpose actually sped up my own healing process.
Wow. And I know there's a common statement, the bigger the why, the more you comply, So one of my friends who runs women's fitness transformation camps across America, he says that he gets his women to actually write down 30 big whys. And he's like, it's not just one, it's 30. And you don't necessarily have to do 30, but I think just getting clear on your purpose and your why is absolutely huge. And it drives you to want to just accomplish all the other, simple wellness steps that Marcie's talking about. I think they're brilliant, Marcie. I think they're foundational to really epigenetic change on a cellular level, maximizing brain function, helping reverse disease processes, turn disease genes on, and health promoting genes on, and disease genes off. That's what I meant to say. But what's so amazing about this is that this is really the healthcare of the future. What you're talking about is the healthcare of the future. And if you don't have these simple steps down, then you're accelerating your life and your health into a more negative kind of physiological and perhaps even emotional and mental state. So I think this is going to help you in so many different ways. And I'm excited to hear about step number 7.
Okay, so the last step is social support. We're social animals. We're geared to want to be around other people. And I think most of you know that the 5 people who you spend the most time with, you end up being a compilation of those people. So really choosing carefully who you're spending your time with, and choosing to be around people who will also keep you motivated, keep you on track, you have a similar paradigm and worldview. If you really want to be healthy, looking at spending more time around other people who are cultivating healthy habits too, and joining ranks with them, finding a mentor, finding a coach, a doctor, someone that you can really look to, who inspires you, who has shown you the path, who has done it, and who can keep you on track. So really looking at social support and choosing the right people. And like Tony Robbins says, we don't get to choose our family members. And I'm not saying if they're negative to get rid of those people from your life or those friendships. I'm just saying, love your family, but choose your influences, right? Love the people in your life, but choose who will influence you. That's actually a choice too.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. And I love what you're doing, marciepeters.com. You're all about like helping people, with your own coaching service and helping people all over the world virtually, which I think is just awesome. And another, like, if I Googled one time future of healthcare on YouTube, and it talked about how doctors in the future and health transformations in the future will take place where people will be able to connect with the coach or the physician over the internet. And I love that you and I are doing the same thing, that we're connecting with people anywhere in the world. And it's just such a great day and age to live in, isn't it?
It's wonderful.
Yeah. So love the 7 steps. I want to get into a little bit more step number 1, the sleep strategies. I know there's probably a ton of different things that can help us sleep, but what are probably some of the top 1, 2, or 3 things that you think, man, if you do these things, they'll help you get a deeper, more rejuvenating sleep?
Okay. So sleep hygiene is really important. That's just kind of your basics. Keep the room cool, keep it dark as you can, get blackout curtains if possible, or use an eye mask. I have a black ski mask, like a fuzzy ski mask that I just lay over my eyes, and it works really well.
That's great.
It's kind of like a DIY solution. Yep. So setting yourself up for bed early, where you have a routine that you start an hour. You can actually set your alarm an hour before you want to be asleep, or an hour and a half, and that's when you would start some kind of transition period, is what I like to call it, so that you're not going straight from the day to the bed and then laying there awake. You actually can start to move towards that. And for me, it's sometimes music, or a bath, or reading, meditating, journaling, whatever it is that works for you. And I told you this before. It actually took me a whole year of really being very firm with my bedtime and putting myself to bed early, because I was in the habit of staying up until midnight, 1 or 2 o'clock. I get my second wind around 11, which is a sure sign of adrenal fatigue. That is not a good thing, to get a second wind that late at night and want to stay up. And so I was in some really bad habits for years, and that was really hurting me. That was actually a big part of the problem. So really just allowing yourself that time to where you move your bedtime a little earlier and earlier every night, maybe even 10 or 15 minutes, start incrementally. And just, if you need to do something like melatonin, I think that is a great natural sleep aid, and there's other natural sleep aids that won't be addictive. And if you're on sleep medication, do your best to get off of it. Use melatonin, use some other natural supplements, and get off that, because the medications will actually disrupt your REM sleep cycles. And you can start out at a pretty high dose of melatonin, and then work your way down to a pretty minimal dose, and it'll work just as well. What else? Oh, here's a mindset piece of sleep. And I struggled with insomnia for years, and I got this from my mom. She's just such a sweet, wise woman, and she said to me one time, I just let myself lay there and rest. So she takes the pressure off of having to sleep, or having to, I'm a type A personality, so it's like I want to be doing something. And if I'm not sleeping, if I'm just laying there, it's a waste of time, and why are we here? So take the pressure off of actually having to sleep. Just let your body lay there and relax and rest, and enjoy the softness of the bed, the feeling of the blankets and the pillow, and just able to rest. And a lot of times, as soon as I take that expectation and pressure off myself, you fall right asleep.
It's kind of like those women that are really wanting to get pregnant, and they're worried about getting pregnant, pregnant, and then when they stop thinking about it, it's like they get pregnant,
So stop trying so hard. I think that's true for a lot of things in life. We're either not trying at all, or we're trying way too hard and creating more stress in the process, instead of just letting it be easeful.
Right. Wow. And I know you said that you wanted to get into a little bit more of that anti-inflammatory, kind of some tips into anti-inflammatory lifestyle, living, and nutrition. So what are some majors that, just would benefit the people listening today?
Okay. So here's what you can do, and this is pretty straightforward. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing in the world, and it might be a process, a stair-stepping process, or maybe you can just go cold turkey. But really, you want to remove certain things from your diet, and those are foods that are inflammatory. And those foods are gluten, which is in wheat products, always have gluten, and gluten is in other things too. Processed, homogenized, pasteurized dairy. Raw dairy can be healing in some cases for some people if you don't have lactose or casein sensitivities. But at first, you want to take all of it out, and then later maybe experiment with raw dairy. You want to take eggs out, because that is a problem. It's a great protein source, and I think if it's sourced from a good place, it's a great food, but take it out to start out with. Also, remove all forms of corn, especially high fructose corn syrup. Take all soy out of your diet, which is an endocrine disruptor and is particularly bad for women's hormones. You want to remove all added sugars, anything that's not a natural sugar, and even for a while you might want to limit your fruit consumption because of the fructose. And then you're definitely going to want to avoid genetically modified foods and anything artificial. That includes artificial sweeteners, colors, processed foods, and poor quality fats, which are the trans fats or the hydrogenated fats. That includes vegetable oil, canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil. All of those are going to be very counterproductive and very toxic to your system. So if you can take all of those foods out, and I would even say if you're needing to heal, remove grains. All grains, even gluten-free grains, because those are hard to digest and can also be very inflammatory to the body. So if you can do that, I know it sounds like a lot, and you're like, what do I eat?
Exactly, but the reality is, when you get in the world of eating the other foods that you have an option of eating, it's so unbelievable. And it's like you almost forget about the foods that you just mentioned. Like you said to me, I think we were in a conversation, you said you need to focus on what you can have versus what you can't have. And when you do that, it like a whole world opens up to you, and it's really just outstanding. So just a quick recap: gluten, corn, a lot of GMO corn out there, wheat, soy, processed homogenized dairy, eggs, added sugar, and even for some people that perhaps have been eating too much sugar for too long, they may want to decrease their fructose consumption from the fruit. Anything GMO, as you and I know, Marcie, GMOs get into those cells of your body, the microRNA, and they can actually create, new research is showing it can actually create pesticide factories inside of your own body. So it's really important to stay away from those toxic oils, damage the cells and the tissues of the body. And then you said if you are in an inflammatory state, you've got some disease process going on inside your body, you should probably look at removing all grains like rice, buckwheat, and things of that nature.
Yes, thank you. Good recap.
It's what you've just given there is life-saving, because I know from my own personal experience and from the people that I've worked with, like you are truly a very unique individual and amazing health coach. Like out of all of the health experts that I've connected with, the knowledge that you have and the things that you help people with, I'm blown away with. So, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
So, I know that we've gone over the 7 steps. We've kind of delved into some of them here and there. I love it. I know there's probably more that they'll be learning throughout the summit and all of the amazing interviews that they get when they listen. But really, from a mindset perspective, why don't we kind of delve into that mindset a little bit more and talk about like what are some of the best things that can help with maximizing the ability to control your mind, because really that's a foundational factor, isn't it?
Yes. So here's one that is super important, and it's kind of along the lines of personal responsibility, but it's even more than that. It's empowering yourself to know that anything that's happening really is up to you. Happiness is an inside job, and you're the only one that can provide that for yourself. You're the only one that can provide optimal health, and you actually have the answers, all the answers you need inside of you. Now, I'm not saying don't read, don't research, don't get information. Information is important. It's different than answers. You want to gather the information, but then take it in and come up with your own answers in terms of what's right for you. So bioindividuality means that we're all slightly different, constitutionally different. Different things work for different people. Different foods, different sleep schedules, different exercise patterns, and so forth. And so you want to take that information in and sit with it and experiment and really just allow your own answers. So when I'm doing health coaching, the 2 biggest things that I do for my clients is, yes, they get their meal plan and they get all this support and everything else, and I give them a lot of information and answers, but the most important 2 things are, 1, I hold space and believe in them until they can step into that place of power and believing in themselves, which is where I want them to get. I don't want them to be dependent on me. I want them to actually step into their own power. But at first, they may not have the beliefs that allow them to do that. So I'm going to hold that for them. And then as part of their transformation, they'll step into their power. And then number 2 is I draw those answers out of them. I empower them to know that they have their own answers. It's hard to access sometimes. Meditation can be overwhelming or intimidating for a lot of people, just to sit and listen for the answers. So having someone who can actually draw those out, and so I'm not telling them what to do, I'm helping them get in touch with their own inner wisdom. So that's a really important piece, is knowing that all the feelings you have, all the thoughts that you have, even the circumstances and the people you draw into your life, take responsibility for being a creator of all of that, and not from a place of guilt or criticism or judgment, but really from a place of empowerment, really from a place of, look at what I created. Is this what I want to create? And if not, then I can shift it. I have the power.
Absolutely. I think, when you get at cause, when you move away from being the victim to the person that has power, and you start taking control of your thoughts, you almost observe your life as if you were like a fly on the wall, kind of observing your life and your thoughts. It just puts you at such a powerful state of being. And, when you can control that, and we are living in a day and age that is oftentimes we're being automatically programmed by media, by stressful deadlines, by other people in our lives, and we don't realize that we actually have control over ourselves. We do not have to let the boss or the person sitting next to us or, the friend that you went to high school with that made some comments on Facebook or whatever it may be, that you don't need to let any of that stuff affect you if you choose for it to or not to. So I think that's just so that's so
goes back to knowing who you are and really having a solid sense of who you are and what you stand for. So getting really clear on that. What are you here in the world to do? What do you stand for? So I like to have people, this is one of the exercises I do, I like to have people come up with a contract for themselves, which actually sounds like an affirmation, but it's a contract that they can go back to in terms of who they are and what they stand for. So if life gets a little rough or there's some rejection or there's some suffering or challenges, they can always go back to this place of knowing who they are and empowering themselves. So as an example, my contract to myself is I am a passionate, powerful, loving woman. And so you're going to select 3 ways of being, not just adjectives, but ways of actually being. So as a passionate person or as a powerful or a loving person, how would that person act in certain situations, in certain circumstances? When they're shot down or rejected or challenged in life, how does a powerful person show up? How does a passionate and a loving person show up? Or confident or courageous or whatever ways of being are really resonating with you, and come up with that contract to yourself. It's really simple and really powerful, and you can use it as an affirmation that you post around and look at all the time too.
Oh, that's great. And just being clear on your values, just being clear on what you stand for, I think is so powerful, because we don't know, if we don't clearly write that down, then we could be living against what unconsciously we know is something that is against our value systems or against what we believe, and that's going to create some conflict internally. It could create some unnecessary stress, and I know that it's happened in my life. I'm sure it's happened in your life.
You hit the nail on the head, Dr. Jones. So the number one source of depression and anxiety is, guess what? Being out of integrity, out of authenticity with yourself. Not being honest with yourself.
Wow. That's incredible. So the number one source of depression is not being honest with yourself. And I guess one of the ways to kind of secretly do this without spilling your guts to the world would be to journal, right?
To really understand when you're out of integrity, when you're letting someone not respect you, not respect your boundaries, not having healthy boundaries for yourself, going along with something that doesn't feel right, not standing up for yourself or standing up for others if something doesn't feel right. There's a lot of ways we can be out of integrity. And so really talking to someone about it, someone trusted, a counselor or a coach, journaling it out. There's a lot of ways to get to that. But just at the bottom line, creating awareness to understand what's going on. And there's a reason why you're depressed or anxious. Sometimes it's biochemical, but a lot of times it is what's going on and the stories we tell ourselves. That's another thing to look at. And that's a whole other.
I know we could talk about that for the next 3 hours. But I mean, just quickly on that, I know that we run stories in our minds that are very non-serving, and we can change those stories through, I know again what you teach, and there's a lot of different strategies that you use to help people do that. But I think that's, I mean, this is, without diving into it, I think that's a powerful process. And now, what is your, what, when, and why principle? Did we we touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, there's more detail to that. So
yes.
It's a way of eating, the what, when, why. So the what is high quality foods, whole foods, meaning something that was alive at one point. So it was growing, it was running, it was swimming, it was, it was alive. So whole real foods is the what. So always looking at quality, looking at the source too, looking at where it came from. Is it wild? Is it grass-fed? Is it organic, pasture-raised, and so forth? So that's the what. The when part of it is not eating so often. There's this old philosophy, and I think it's becoming more and more known that it is not serving, and it keeps the blood sugar dysregulated and unbalanced. So the old philosophy is you eat 3 meals a day plus you have 2 snacks in between meals. Throw that out. That's garbage. I think most of us can agree at this point that we need to give our body a break from food, and not just when we're sleeping, but actually when we're awake. And that break happens in between the meals. That allows the blood sugar to come down. That allows us to not create as much cortisol, the stress hormone. It allows the organs to take a break. It allows us to get into ketosis, the fat burning mode. So in between meals is when you want to drink a lot of water to help with satiation and flushing toxins. So you have your 3 meals a day, spaced 5 to 7 hours apart. This alone is my number 1 weight loss tip. So I know we're going to talk more about other tips.
Yes.
This is the number 1 thing. If you just did this, and then ideally if you do the whole what, when, how, the whole thing, which is also the anti-inflammatory diet, you're going to see massive results and total weight loss. I mean, and it happens quickly. I just have a client who started with me 10 days ago and he's lost 9 pounds. Another client who has lost 12 pounds in 3 weeks. Another client who has lost over 30 pounds in a matter of about 3 months. I mean, it happens quickly, easily. You're not hungry. It really works.
And it's sustainable.
It's sustainable because you can have, as many of those high quality foods as you want, and get the high quality fats in there, and you're satiated, right? You're not hungry.
Right.
So when you first start the anti-inflammatory diet, you might have a detoxification effect. You might feel really pretty badly for 3 or 4 days while the toxins are coming out. And this is a healing crisis. Should actually be taken as a good sign and looked at that it's working, not that things are getting worse. Allow that to happen, and then you're going to start feeling amazing. I had one client who said that on day 4, she woke up feeling like Superwoman. And she's someone who also dropped 10 pounds within a matter of, I think, 2 weeks. So
that's amazing.
It's fantastic. So the what, the when, and then the last part of it is also really important. Maybe to a lesser extent, but it is really important. It's the how. So the what, when, and the how. The how is how we interact with our food, how we eat. Are we multitasking? Are we actually present? Are we sitting down and focusing and eating slowly enough to allow the body to understand that we're full when we're full, so we don't overeat? Are we appreciative of our food? Are we giving gratitude? Are we having thoughts that empower us while we're eating? Are we thinking, wow, this is so healthy, this is so nutritious, my cells are really going to get what I need, I'm going to have the energy I need. So often when people are eating desserts or bad things that they know are bad for them, they're having disempowering thoughts, and that actually affects assimilation and absorption and digestion. And so on top of eating the bad foods, now the bad thoughts are making it even worse. So if you are going to indulge in something on occasion, enjoy it. Don't have deconstructive thoughts that will make it worse.
Yeah, and if you, and I know there's probably some people out there that say, well, that's a little out there. It might be like, something that a lot of people in California believe, but that doesn't relate to what my belief systems are. But I'll just tell you, just from being an East Coast individual physician and doing a lot of research on my own, that everything that Marcie just said is 100% accurate and backed by the literature. It's really profound when you look at, where your mindset is when you're eating, and just even focusing on your food and chewing it a little bit more intentionally, and how the actual neurochemicals and chemicals that communicate to your brain actually help with the digestive process, and just the level of decrease in stress and all of these other great benefits. So
the psychology of eating is real. It's scientifically backed. Even just breathing. So just sitting and taking a couple of deep breaths before you dive into your meal. Traditionally, that's what prayer was all about. It was a chance to settle down, be with the people you're with, be with the food, enjoy the look of it, the smell, and then when you eat, the texture, the taste, the flavor, everything about it, the metabolic pleasure of the process, so that you're not just, doing it as efficiently as possible. You're actually enjoying the process. It's all so important. And I've had also clients say to me, wow, that has really made a difference. Things that I actually was having a hard time with digestively, after I ate, I would feel gassy and bloated. It's how you're eating too. It's not just what you're eating. Wow,
I love that what, when, and how strategy. It's so profound and counterintuitive. It's not something a whole lot of people talk about. So thank you for that.
I used to be bad. I'm just going to tell myself really quickly. I used to be someone who ate in the car. Of course, that was back when I do fast food. I hate to admit that too. But, I had some really bad habits, and I would eat in the car. I would multitask. And, these things don't serve us, ultimately.
Hey, I worked at McDonald's. I ended up getting fired from McDonald's after a couple of weeks of working there because I missed a bunch of my hours by accident. But hey, we've all got our own stories. And, I remember being back there flipping burgers and really hoping we'd get to sell the 100th burger in the hour or whatever it was, so that I could get a free meal at work. So completely get what you're talking about. So that's fantastic. And what are some other weight loss tips? I know you talked about, the when of eating, which is the number one, but what are some other really powerful weight loss tips for people that want to, lose weight fast?
So it's interwoven with some of the things we've already talked about. You want to make sure that you aren't eating too often, like we talked about the when. Then that you're drinking enough water so that you are flushing toxins and feel satiated. You're getting enough sleep so that you can actually cognitively make good decisions about your diet. And you want to, really just look at making sure you get enough high-quality fats in your diet and enough protein, too. A lot of people aren't having enough protein. They're using carbohydrates instead. So I actually like to have most of my carbohydrates be vegetables. It's a great source of carbs and a really healthy source of carbs. Mostly non-starchy vegetables, but you could also use a few starchy as well. Although when you're trying to lose weight, it's better to limit the starchy stuff for a time until you start dropping the weight. So really just looking at all the different habits, the 7 habits we talked about, and then the mindset around that is I get to be my best self. I get to be vibrant. I get to make my body strong and capable. And then there are supplementations you can look at that will help support weight loss, and it's going to be different for different people. But there's a lot of really good quality natural supplements that will help support weight loss.
Now, I know what some people may be thinking, okay, but I'm an emotional eater. I think we all are, and on some level have been in the past. It fluctuates sometimes, but I'm an emotional eater. I binge eat here and there, or I'll go out to a restaurant. I cannot not order dessert, especially when my husband or my spouse or my friends or whatever are ordering some things. It's just too tempting for me. What can you do to help people overcome self-sabotaging behaviors that continue to keep them in the rut that they're in?
I see this a lot. I see this with about half of the people. So half of the people who come to me just need to know what to do. And once they get their meal plan, they will go ahead and just do it. The other half, are really struggling. And I've been this person too for most of my life, and I still can slip back into those moments. So I really do empathize and really do understand. I cannot keep certain things in the house, and I just know that about myself. So that's one thing. You can not keep those in the house. But really deconstructing what is actually going on. So emotional eating is when you eat for any reason other than physical hunger. So if you are hungry an hour, a couple hours after you have eaten, either you're eating the wrong things that are not sticking with you and making you hungry, or chances are you're looking for something from that food. You're looking for entertainment or comfort or to change your state somehow. And I really have my clients try to deconstruct and work through them with them on what's going on. What's the underlying thing? You know, are you lonely? If you're eating in bed at night, is it loneliness? You know, or are you in need of entertainment? Are you bored? Are you, really starting to get clear on what's going on? And that's, of course, the thing that drives emotional eating is that we're looking to change our state somehow, and we're doing it through food. But there's actually more empowering and more sustainable ways to change our state. We can exercise, we can journal, we can take a hot bath, we can do other self-care things like get a massage, we can do something productive, we can actually just sit quietly with ourselves and our feelings and feel whatever. If it's loneliness that is coming up, allow yourself to really feel that. Allow yourself to really grieve without getting stuck in that feeling, but let it come up and let it move through. I was stand-up paddleboarding last weekend with my dog Gizmo, and
I love it.
And he fell off. So it was his first time falling into the water. He got too close to the edge and he just slipped off. And he's a little dog. He's 12 pounds. And he was traumatized, right? He shook. Like, he just, literally shook for, 10 or 15 minutes. Well, this is the nervous system's, the body's way of ridding those feelings. In nature, animals always do this. If they have a trauma or a shock, they will shake it off. They will allow that expression of the feeling. What we do as humans is we want to look a certain way. We don't want to cry. We don't want to show emotion. We don't want to look weak or vulnerable. So we stuff it in, and it lodges in our body in a certain way. So what I would like is that when you're in a safe place, preferably, is to let it out, is to let that emotion, come out and feel it, whether it's talking to someone or journaling, but finding a healthier, more empowering way to deal with whatever these feelings are that come up that cause emotional eating. And of course, you can do things like don't keep ice cream in the house. That's really also helpful and practical.
Exactly. That's great.
Yeah, and this creates more awareness, more understanding, and ultimately more self-love, which is what everything that I talk about, it all comes down to this piece, which is the self-love piece. Yeah. Right? Choosing to honor, respect, and love yourself as much as possible, and always going back to that place. It's like a practice, like a yoga practice, but a different type of practice where no matter how many times you're knocked down, or no matter what's going on in your life, whatever challenges, your body's hurting, you can always go back to that place of self-love and compassion, and allow that to fill you up so that you're not walking around empty or with a hole or a void because you're looking to external things, people, places to fill you up. You can actually do that for yourself, and that helps with emotional eating a lot. I've worked with a lot of people on cultivating their self-love, and once they do, no emotional eating, no self-sabotage, the weight loss really kicks in, and you might slip back from time to time, but again, it starts to become a new habit, a new practice.
What is a question that can cultivate self-love in an individual that they could ask themselves?
There's so many, but here's one that I really like. What is the most loving thing I can do for myself in this moment? Right. And it might be giving yourself a pep talk. It might be going for a walk. It might be you need more water. You need to rest. You need to let yourself slow down. It might be noticing that you're being hard on yourself and allowing yourself more ease. It might be doing something fun, Right. I mean, just doing something that we enjoy in life is so powerful, finding your ecstasy. I
love it. So it's not like you need to ignore it. You just need to figure out something to substitute that kind of emotional void or whatever is causing you to self-sabotage your transformations in your own life. And that kind of leads me to my last question. What is the kind of transformational formula? What is the formula for transformational success?
Okay, so it starts with awareness. It starts with understanding yourself in a compassionate way, and really allowing that awareness to fuel any changes that you make. And then just creating a place where you're committed to loving yourself and trusting yourself no matter what. Just connecting to that place where you know that you are not broken. You are actually perfect, whole, and complete exactly as you are, and really cultivating that belief and that awareness. And then I always go to 3 things: appreciation, love, and forgiveness. That's the trifecta of really happiness. It's the trifecta of having the right mindset to do whatever you want with your life and have an amazing life. So love, forgiveness, and gratitude or appreciation.
Oh my gosh, this has been unbelievable. The content that you've delivered is transformative. I know there was a lot of information there. I hope you were taking notes if you're watching this. And Marcie, what are some just last words about the summit, about just the information we've discussed that you'd like to give to our listeners?
I want to let everyone know that I've really put my heart and soul and a lot of time and effort into this summit just for you, because I really, more than anything, I want to change the world, and that is part of who I am. That is part of what I stand for, is that I want to be a vehicle of inspiration, hope, and transformation to as many people as possible. And our goal this year is to reach 100,000 people. It's a huge goal, and I know that together we can do it. I know that if you reach out to your friends and family and just let them know about this free event, and let's together really make a difference and really change the world.
Marcie, thank you so much. You're such an incredible individual. The world's so blessed to have you, and I cannot wait to see all the stories and all the good that comes out of this from people transforming their own lives through this information. So thank you again for putting on the summit, and we look forward for everyone to get the information that these experts are delivering. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for Transform Your Health World Summit and for being part of this revolution. It's not too late to invite others. And don't forget to purchase the Summit package so you can listen to this valuable information again and again.